All right, let's look at the homework 7.5, problem number 7. All right, so let's try to apply second partial test to find the relative max, relative min, or saddle point. All right, so we need to take the bunch of partials. So we take the partial with respect to x. Which would be partial of x cubed is 3x squared. Partial of y cubed with respect to x is 0. And partial of negative 6x squared would be negative 6 times 2, 12x. And the partial of that is 0. Partial of 12x with respect to x is 12. And the partial of these is 0 with respect to x. Right? So first I'm going to, it's a multiple 3, pull out 3. So we have x squared from the first term minus 4x from the second term and a plus 4. Right? And we can easily complete the square here. So 3, so this is just going to be x minus 2 squared. So if you set that equal to 0 to find the critical point, seems like x is going to be equal to positive 2. Right, so let's do the same thing, partial with respect to y. Right, partial of that is 0, you're going to have a 3y squared. Partial of that is 0 plus 30y, and that's 0, and plus 75. And partial 119 is 0. Right? So this is going to be equal to, let's say, pull out 3, and we would have a y squared from the first term plus 10y from the second term, and then plus 25 from the third term. Right? Then we can complete the square again. So this is quantity y plus 5 squared. So we set that equal to 0. That will give us y equals negative 5. All right, so from here, we have a critical point. So critical point is 2 comma negative 5. All right. Then let's try to find, second partial. So you have f second partial with respect to x is going to be equal to partial with respect to x, 6x minus 12. Right? And then if you plug in 2 comma 5, so second partial at with respect to x at 2 comma negative 5. That's going to give us, plug in 2 here, so it's going to be 6 times 2 minus 12. It's obviously equal to 0. Right? So let's find second partial with respect to y. Right? So this is going to be, let's say, second partial, so it's going to be 6y plus 30. Right? Then you plug in 2 comma 5. So second partial with respect to y, and plug in x equals 2, y equals negative 5. So it's a 6 times negative 5 plus 30, which is equal to 0. All right, how about the mixed partial? All right, so x, y. All right, but the mixed partial is going to be obviously 0. All right. So if you find the d value, so d value at the point 2 comma negative 5, which comes out to be, so second partial with respect to x is 0, times second partial with respect to y is 0, minus mixed partial, which is 0. So everything is 0. All right. So you can see that this is inconclusive, since we get 0. Right. All right, then we're going to have a hard time answering this question. Let's see. So if you do, all right, so if you go up here, right? So let's critical point. So 2 comma negative 5 we're going to get inconclusive from second partial test, right? Then if you go back and do we get the relative max or relative min, right? So if you pay attention to the partial derivative, right? So you can see that in the x direction, right? So the partial derivative is this square form, which means that it's never negative, right? So it's a non-negative. So which means that in this direction, function is getting larger and larger as x value getting larger, right? So there's no hill or no valley, right? And you can say exactly the same thing in the y direction. The partial with respect to y is actually always non-negative. So in the y direction, function is always increasing. So we don't get a hill or a valley, so we don't get the relative max or relative min. So which we are left with a saddle point, right? So you have a critical number that gives you no relative max or no relative min. It's going to be called the saddle point, right? Saddle point, let's see. So if you plug in 2, -5 into here, and I already computed it, actually, I'm going to cheat it a little bit here, right? So if you type it in, and it's going to look like this, right? And the point is 2, -5, +2. So if you plug in 2 for x and -5 for y, the function is going to come out to be 2. So here's the point. Right, so you can see that this is not a maximum, relative maximum, or relative minimum, because you can see you can find always something higher, something lower, and something higher, something lower. All right, so this is not the local relative max or relative min. Right, so it is a saddle point. Right, so therefore, if you type in the answer, so this is going to be does not exist. All right, so we just have to say does not exist. All right, does not exist here, and does not exist here. Right, does not exist. Right here we don't have does not exist, and we don't have does not exist here. Right. So saddle point, this value is 2 at the 2, -5, right? So this is a saddle point. Since this is a critical number, but it's not relative max, it's not relative min, then it's called a saddle point. All right, so let's check the answer. All right, it came back, and looks like we got this one correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.